Welcome back, wealth creators. I want to welcome you to an awesome video series where we're going to help everybody out there get financially fit, starting with the basics, moving on from growth, moving to protection. So, we're going to start the series off with budgeting, and today we're going to talk about budgeting your time. So, everybody when we talk about budgeting thinks of their financial budget, right? Your income and your expenses. How do you track it? How much do you have afterwards for saving, for investing, for handling debt, right? But one thing that I think people skip on is budgeting for their time. The most important asset that we have is our time. Most of us trade our time for money, right? And so the best way to kind of build out on your future and be efficient with your time is budgeting for it. So what I've done, which has helped me in the past, is 24 hours in a day kind of seems short, right? So what I've done is extrapolated that for a week. And in a week, we have about 168 hours every 7 days. So in those 7 days, how much can you get done, and what are you focused on? So let's kind of go into it. For the average person, you're going to sleep about 8 hours a day, and that's going to come into about 56 hours, right? And as you can see down here, this is always going to tell us how many hours we need to shave for, what's going on. And so we want that to be 168 at the end of it. Over here, you need to dictate what's important to you and how much time do you have to dedicate to spending time with your family, right? Some of us are single, we don't have spouses, we don't have family, right? So that might not be something that's too on high on our priorities list, right? The family section might just be going to your mom and dad's house for dinner once every Sunday, and that might just be 4 hours, right? And so you have to gauge based on what's important to you. I'm just going to show you guys kind of what's important to me. I'm married and I have a 4-year-old. So between karate, soccer practice, and then just spending time, family has to get something, right? Nothing happens without work. And for me, that is royalty. So I'm going to fill that out for you. Royalty Financial Services. If you guys are looking for a good accountant, bookkeeper, taxation, planning, look no further. So the next thing is charity. Now, I tend to be a part of a few different organizations. That would be my charity culture change. For one, I'm a part of the NAACP, my local chapter, doing economic development. I am also a part of a few other organizations like the Trenton Green Team and Young Professionals Network of New Jersey. But just to save us time and, to kind of simplify things, charity for me probably takes about 2 hours a day per Monday through Friday, right? So which is why the number 10 is there. Going to the gym is something that's very important. If it's not going to the gym, it's taking a morning walk. And again, Monday through Friday, I like to give myself about 2 hours time. That's normally traveling time, getting set up, getting there, doing the workout, and getting back home. Normally it takes me about 2 hours, and I take about 2 days off, right? Part of fitness is understanding your body, understanding rest. And I think rest is very big so you can perform optimally, right? And so fitness should be in there. If you are somebody who goes to church, but let's say church is not very big for you though, right? You might just go once on the weekends and you might not do any Bible study or chorus or anything like that. So you only have two. So for me, my family, we normally go to church on Saturdays. I also do a Bible study with my mastermind. And so between the two, I'm probably spending about 5 hours a week. I also read the Bible. I have mornings where I read inspirationally, and then I have mornings where I read spiritually, right? Sometimes I read my business book. Sometimes I'm listening to a YouTube video. It depends on what's feeding my spirit at the moment. But for the most part, church is heavy into it. Eating. This is where a lot of people struggle because they don't really track how long they're eating. They tend to eat 3 times a day. So between all of that activity, you could be spending between 12. Let's just say you spend a half an hour on eating every single day. That would be 90 minutes, 7 days a week. You're looking at 630 minutes. And if we drop that down 60 hours, you are looking at about 10 and a half hours, right? And so that's why I have 10 here. Me personally, I try to eat between 1 and 2 times a day. I feel like we've gotten very, very luxurious with our eating habits, right? Eating every day is a luxury, right? Eating 3 times a day, now we're bordering on gluttony, right? And so I think eating habits is something that everybody gets to control, because body types is different. Some people are a little bit overweight and they're looking to cut down their eating habits. Some people are a little bit underweight and looking to gain some weight, so they need to increase their eating habits, right? Hobbies, this is something to just keep your sanity, right? This is something where you this is where the business ideas come from, to be honest with you. The hobby is something that you just enjoy doing it just because it exists. But eventually, when you start to think about, I want more, I want to help people, I want to add more to what I'm doing in my culture and society, that what we do with our hobbies tends to lead us there, right? And so I definitely will put something down there. And television. So many of us watch television, get consumed in television. We are just going crazy. So for me, I don't really watch too much TV anymore. I'm more of a YouTube clip watcher. And, these days I'm mostly into business. If it's not about business, economic development, real estate, it really doesn't interest me as much. And so my TV consumption, you know what, just to make things even, I'll say I probably watch about an hour a day. But that's what I would say is, you want to try to be as accurate as possible, especially if you're just starting this. You have not tracked yourself before, so at the beginning you're just trying to get what I am into, what I'm trying to do, what am I doing during those times, right? But to me, what's most important to me is personal development and professional development. So as you can see, business, my hobby, charity, these are all things that tie into that. And that's why if you add those up, they take a large chunk of my time, right? So now that you actually allocate these hours, right, 56 things like that, what we want to do is we want to go down here and actually talk about when when during the day. So let's just fill out Monday, and let's start from something as simple. We will be going to sleep, right? And so normally at 12 a.m., if you're going to get 8 hours and you're waking up early, you're going to have to be sleeping during this time. And I'll just use for me. So also for me, I do not sleep 8 hours a day. So I normally sleep about 6. So we're going to start this off. And that gives me the ability to steal from different places. At about 6 a.m., I'm waking up. The first thing I do is probably go to the bathroom. The second thing I do is, I've been more conscious lately. The first thing I do is appreciation in the morning. Thank you for waking me up, Lord. Pray for intentionality throughout my day. For me, my loved ones, my friends, my family, I pray for interactions to be elevated, right? Like when people meet me, I don't want them just getting a generic hello, how you doing, right? I want to stand out. I want to be the best part of people's day, right? And so I'm normally praying for that in the morning, but also getting ready for the gym. And I just roll all of this together. So normally from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., that is something where we are getting ready for fitness. Okay. And then we will put that both right there. Now I put fitness because there are so many activities you can do that's good for you. Yoga, running, walking, going to the gym, whatever it is for you. Just being physically active is what's most important, right? You got to be doing something to keep that body in gear. We only get one body, and if you do not use it, you will lose it, right? 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. I do not normally eat breakfast in the morning, but that is a time where my family is normally getting up, getting ready for the day. My son is normally going to school by 8:45 or so. So from about 8 to 8:45, that is like where I steal some family time. But I'm also taking a shower and getting ready for the day, because by 9 o'clock, I am ready for work. And work for me is RFS. And so work could be anything. It could be calling up people, getting sales. It could be recording content. It could be so many different things. But for me, I'm just going to put work right here so that I know what I'm doing. And I think the the harder that you work and put into work now, the less you have to do later. And so these days, Bryce is into karate. So 5 o'clock tends to be family time as well, where we will either be at karate Monday through Wednesday, or we will be at soccer Thursday and Saturday. And so we try to keep my son busy, but that also keeps our family connected together, and that little break of the day, right? So being a business owner, I get to end my day at 4:30. I get to end my day at 4:45, or I could work all the way up to the minute and work until 5 p.m. because karate really isn't until 5:15. And so I have a few minutes right down the street from my house. So on a typical day, it would be that. Then I would come back home, and it would all depend on what day of the week it was. But let's just say it was Tuesday. Then this would be a culture change day. So from 6 to 8, I would be thinking about culture change. I would be focused on, you know, reaching out to people in my organization. What changes do we have to make? What do we have to do? And so I think that would be our culture change night. So at 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. At 8 p.m., I'm normally taking a meeting, or I'm meeting with somebody. Like if this was traditional Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., I'm just going through my culture change notes, studying. At 8 p.m., we have our meeting. So I would be meeting with my charity members. We would be talking about events coming up. We have been in the process of getting our 501c3 certification through the IRS. And so we've been meeting about that and plans on what we're going to do when that does come in. From about 9 to 10, I would be winding down, but depending on how long the meeting takes, let's just say the meeting rolls into 9 a.m., then that's what I would be doing. And then the last 2 hours are my personal time. So with my personal time and journaling. So with my personal time, this would normally be watching a YouTube video on business, on time, on accounting, bookkeeping, tax savings, tax filings. I have a few different programs, maybe going on QuickBooks, playing around with the trainings, learning up a bit more on there, stuff like that, right? And so, and then I've been in this process of just trying to journal the ending of my day and talk about what I did. And so that journaling process, that is probably the most important process when it comes to tracking yourself and thinking about what you're doing and how you're making an impact. And if you like what you're doing, right? Also, if you feel like you took a nap that day, it wasn't as productive, you should write that down. So granted, maybe that day you needed that nap, but it's a way to make sure you're not consistently taking naps every day, because then you might wake up feeling unproductive, might miss some things, and we don't want naps to be causing us issues financially or personally, emotionally, any of that, right? And so you have to play around with this schedule a little bit, but this is the idea of time blocking. And then what you want to do is you want to set something like this for every single day of the week. And you want to become disciplined. You want to become so disciplined that it borderlines robotic, and you are following this schedule to a T. And then your job once a week is to edit this schedule, see what you like, what you didn't like. Maybe you need to cut some things down off of your list. Maybe you didn't spend any time watching TV, right? And maybe you could cut that off because you are going crazy with your mission and your goal, right? Maybe you could cut down only eating twice a day and eating for 30 minutes a day. So then throughout the week, eating is only giving you 7 hours instead of 10, right? For me, I like to steal hours from here because I do not sleep for 8 hours a day. I'm normally a 6 hour a day guy. I think for health purposes, it probably balances out to 7. There are some days where I can crash and take longer naps, but for me, this would be closer to 49 than 56. But you have to play around with this thing so you can get the gauge that you really want and put it to the things where it's going to move that needle for you, right? Maybe putting 5 more hours towards your work this week is going to help. And then also Saturday and Sunday, these are my variable days. So I do believe in mimicking God, right? God has the best blueprints, and he's done things the best way, right? And so if he built the world in 6 days and took a day off, maybe we should take a day off too. So Sunday is normally that day I'm taking a day off, but even in that day off, I'm kind of analyzing my week, seeing what I have coming up, what I have to focus on now, and just kind of getting into the motion of those things. And so this is how you would go through the process, right? The thought process of it. And it's going to take a couple weeks for you to get it right. The goal right now is to just get started. And so with that being said, I hope this first video of showing you how to budget for your time and how time blocking truly works helps. In our next video, we are going to go over budgeting your finances. And I think that one is going to be an absolute game changer, because not only am I going to do the traditional show you how to budget, but I'm also going to show you guys how to account for your budget throughout the month. I'm going to share with you my secret. It's worked for me, very simple, and I feel like you guys can copy it too. But I can't wait to see you in the next video. You have a good one, and don't forget, if you ain't tracking, you ain't trying.